How about a bit of pillow talk tonight? I've noticed a trend with people these days in our small island. For the past years, I've noticed it. Even my own children, are doing it with my grandbabies. But my grandson was like about 8, 9 before I would even think about allowing them to send them to the what we call what you guys would call the corner store. But anyway, I've noticed that a lot of people are sending off their 5-year-old children by themselves to school. What we call primary school here. Kindergarten, the first class. They're catching the vans by themselves without supervision. They're going to school by themselves without supervision, and the same thing happens in the afternoon after school. And when I say small kids, sometimes you look at the child and you want to know if the child is even 5, or they some of them tiny. And I'm like so skeptical as a grandmother. I would never have been able to, in my time with my children, to even send them, to even think about sending them by themselves. I took my daughter to school until about what age she was. She was in Form 2. She was in secondary school, what we call secondary school down here. They start in Form 1 at 11 plus, so she was about maybe 12 going on 13. And I took her to school, to and from school. I would take her to school and I'd pick her back up. I wouldn't even trust her to catch a van. Not trust her as in literally not trust her. But I would be so scared that something might happen to her. Lord have mercy, that I would not allow her to catch the van. I took her to school. And I don't know how parents doing it these days, allowing these kids to be on the street by themselves. Oh my God, it's so scary. When I was young, my mom would give me a lot of freedom. Of course, I was an only child, so I got away with a lot. But I would go by myself to my grandmother's house. She lived a little above us. And I would be there for hours unsupervised. Like, because my grandmother wouldn't be looking out for us or anything. And when I got older, I basically had my own way growing up. Needless to say, things happened. I was molested as a child. My mom found out, and she was, well, devastated. I didn't know what really was going on at the time. I just knew, well, I was hurting. And she, well, when that happened, she kept a very close eye on me from then. I got my freedom a little older. And I need for parents these days to understand that you need to show your children that you love them. You know, show them that you love them so that they wouldn't go out looking for love. From a very young age, show them that you are their protector. Don't just let them, because when children become too independent too soon, things can happen. And I can speak from experience. I only speak from my experience. I can't speak for anyone else's, but a lot of negative things can happen in a child's life, because when a child doesn't feel like, I mean, when a child gets what he him or her wants financially or whatever, it's not the same as if there's a parent who actually will tell that child, I love you and I'm always here for you, and you can tell me anything, you can ask me anything. I mean, some parents grew up in an age where parents didn't talk to them about sex. You couldn't talk about sex. Sex was taboo. Oh my God. You couldn't, they couldn't, they couldn't have that conversation with them. So they didn't know how to have it with their children. And that was what happened in my case. When I became a young lady, I was given a book about manhood. That's all that my mom had available. She gave it to me, and when I had my first period, menstruation, she basically said, "Oh, you can go and play around with boys now, and you will see what you get." I was like, "Okay, okay," and when I was not really into boys when I was young. I was more into my netball. I was a netball player. I played for the school and all of that. Netball was my everything. I lived and I breathed netball at that time. So much so that I didn't really study school. That's I didn't study my schooling. I basically just flew through school. Because of course, only child, spoiled, got what I wanted and all of that. Anyway, when I was a very naive young person, and maybe if I had gotten a little more direction, a little more guidance, things might have been different. I remember, well, I will get back into that sometime. Um, I remember I trusted people a lot. I trusted maybe too much. So much so that I was taken advantage of at a young age, as a teenager, not a woman yet. In the last class of secondary school, I remember it well. I was about 17, 18, between 17 and 18. Yeah, could be 17 going on 18. Um, I had this crush on this older guy. Really huge crush. I would walk all over the place looking to meet, to what do you call, encounter. But upon him, what we say locally, but upon him, or just come face to face, like catch sight of him then. Yeah, so. And I knew he had this friend that he used to go by. He was a big time mechanic. He had this friend with another garage that he used to go by. So, and I used to speak to this guy like we were friends. I used to talk to him and thing, but not as in romantic or anything. Nothing like that. Just hi, hello, and thing. Come and see my garage and all of that. So one day I decided, I say, maybe if I go and see the garage, I might put upon this other person. He might come there and I might see him. Okay. Well, I went to the garage. He showed me around, and so he showed me around. Somebody's next. Sorry about that. I got a WhatsApp call. Um, So I went to the garage, as I said, and we were there chatting and so on, talking about life and what am I doing in school and all of that. Because I think we were close to exam time. I had a show coming up. I used to sing in that at that time, and one of the producers here was having a show, and I got a singing part in the show with a friend of mine. So we had a gig at our local, what we call a memorial hall. Is a like a theater, and so I had to go a night. It was coming up soon, so he said, "Well, since you're going, it's in the night. Can I give you a ride home?" He's a friend. I know him. I've known him. I had known him at that time for a bit, quite a long time, saying hello and so on, all of that. And I trusted him naively, really naively trusted him because of his he knew the guy that I had a crush on. So I trusted him. I said, okay, fine. I'll accept the ride home. That's not a problem. No problem. And while I was there, the guy turned up and he met me there and thing. What are you doing here? And all that. I said, oh, just visiting. My friend or whatever. And I left him there. I felt good because I saw my crush and I went home. So the night of the show now, um, I was there and then almost close to our performance, I think someone came and told me, well, someone is outside waiting for me. I said, okay, cool. Well, that's my ride home. Good. So I felt good because it was a bit of a walk to get where I live from there. And so when the show was over now, and I came out, I saw his vehicle across, and my first, what should have been an alarm bell, a red light, a red flag, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, hold on. Sorry about that. Um, so yeah, what should have been an alarm going off, I brushed it off as nothing. I saw this girl who I knew was a lady of the night, I would say. She was known for that. And coming from the car, from his car, came out of his car when I got close to the car, and so I brushed it off. I didn't really take it for anything. So I got in the car expecting to be driven home, and then he said, "You wanna go for a ride? You wanna go for a ride?" And I said, I sat for a minute and I thought about it, and I was like, I was not going to accept the ride, but then he said, just a short drive, just to, you know, cool yourself off and thing before you go home. And I was so stupid, trusting, naive, ignorant. There are so many words that I can use about myself then. And I said, okay, let's go. So he drove a while, a short distance from from where I was in the city. And but then alarm bells went off. Millions of lights were flashing. A ton of lights started flashing because he turned off on a road that didn't really have any. There were no sights. There was nothing to see. It was not at the beach. It wasn't anywhere. No one was around it. It was basically in an area where I should not have been. And he pulled off the road and drove a little bit, short distance. And then he pulled up, and this time, at this time, I got scared. I was scared. And remember, this guy was just a friend to me. I was just, and I was so stupid. At that age, I was so naive. Oh my God, if I could go back and slap myself at that age, I would have deserved every one of those slaps. Anyway, he pulled up and he leaned over and he tried to kiss me. So I was like, what is that? We're not like that. We're not friends like that. I mean, I know you. I know you, and you know I am checking this other guy. And he was like, so I can't get a kiss and all that. I was like, no. And I was like, I started like I was almost in a panic. And then all of a sudden, this guy was over his seat and my seat was pushed back and he was on top of me. And I was like, oh my God, is this really happening? Long story short, because I don't really want to get into the details, the sordid details, because it brings back memories. It brings back memories I really don't want to go into or go back into. I don't want to go there. But basically, in order, because I knew this person had martial arts training, and in order for me to go home in one piece, I thought at the time, in order to go home in one piece that night, to get home safely, after I tried fighting him off, and that didn't work, I basically just gave in. I just went limp. I basically just went limp. I could do nothing. When he was finished, he drove me home. I went in, I said nothing. I told no one. I kept that secret for years. No one knew. No one never knew about that. The very first person I told about that was my husband when I got married in 1988. And this was like 1984, between 83 and 84. My husband was the first person I told about that. I never told my mother, never told my father. And the next day, I was walking in town and I saw the same guy. And when he saw me, he took his eyes off. I literally, our eyes, both of our eyes met. And I looked at him and he looked at me and he literally take his head and he hung it in shame. And he couldn't look at me. I didn't see him for years upon years after that because he left soon after. He left the island and he went away. And I had all my kids and my kids were grown before I even saw him again. He's back in the island and I don't even look in his direction. I will never draw my breath to him in a friendly way. I could not do it. So I stay clear. And I say all of this to say parents need to pay close attention to the girl children. Teach them that they can come to you anytime and tell you anything. Teach them that you might be their mother, but you can also be a friend to them if they need a listening ear at any point in time. Show them love. so that they wouldn't go looking for it in anybody out there. Show them how much you love them, how much you care for them, how much you will do and give up for them. Children need to know they are your world. It's really, really, and some parents, we as parents, we get so caught up in our own life sometimes that we forget that kids have feelings also. We forget that we're taking care of them, yes, but they are individuals and they have needs, they have wants, they have feelings also. They think as well, and sometimes they need us more than we even know. That time in my life was, most of the time I blocked them out. I don't like to think about them. I mean, it happened. I don't like to think about them at all. But I needed to go there to get the message across that sometimes we as parents, we give our children too much freedom, and we don't think that they need us when they actually do need us. They actually do need us to show that we care. We care enough to be there for every little thing. Even if it seems insignificant, show up. Show them that you love them, that you want to be there for them. It's nothing hard to do. In my time when I was growing up, it was a different world to now. These days you don't know who to trust. You can't be sending your 5-year-old to school alone. So many perverts, so many molesters on the street walking. So many things that can go wrong. People have pit bulls walking with chains that can't even hold them. Anything can happen to your child. And we're just taking them and sending them out into the world to fend for themselves. Oh my God, it's so scary to think about it. We need to walk step, because children are not going to stay children for they're not going to stay children forever. So we need to instill in them certain values, instill our love in them so that they will know that they don't need to do certain things to feel love. They don't need to be around a certain crowd to feel the love. They have family. They have family who love them 100%. Not not a tiny love as some people say, but a big love from family. So yeah, that needed to be. I needed to go there tonight, and this needed to be said because it's been bothering me for a while seeing these children on the street so young, and then we have some teenagers that running away from home and going and meet young men, or they going running away from home because things are bad at home. Oh God, we need parents to look into our children more. Show them we're interested in what they're doing in their lives. Be a part of their lives, so that they won't want to be a part of anyone else's before they're ready, before their bodies are ready, before they're developed enough to be ready for certain things. Trust God in every way. Trust God. Young people, if you think you can get love home, reach out to the one that loves you more than anyone else can. God. Trust God. Just speak to him like he's your friend. Just say a prayer and talk to Him. You might be surprised that you get an answer to what you ask or to what you cry out about. You might be in shock when you get an answer. But try Him, trust in Him, trust in God, and He will lead you. Parents, trust in God, and He will guide you to be the best that you can be as a parent. Father, I thank you tonight. I thank you for my journey, oh God. I thank you for allowing me the time to go back into my past and look at things and be okay still. I'm okay. I mean, it's difficult going back, but I'm okay. With the grace of God, I'm all right. And although I went through all these things, I'm still here. I'm still standing. I'm still okay because God has brought me through it all. He has taken me out of everything. He's turned my life around and He's given me new hope. Oh, thank you, Father. Thank you, thank you. So, you guys have a good night. And that's it for another pillow talk with me. I hope it helped somebody. I hope you got something from it. I hope you enjoyed it. So, bye for now.